Hello, in this tutorial we're going to be looking at some of the basic fixings that we use in reupholstery. For temporary fixing of top cover or the interlining, the calico that you put on first, we use these skewers. I've shown them in the last video, but you will come across them. So these are pretty sturdy for holding fabrics in place. I use these dressmaking pins because they're slightly more delicate than the upholstery pins. You will come across them, and the upholstery pins that are dedicated for this are stronger, but again, if you're using delicate top fabrics, these are probably better. Moving on to the tacks, there's a wide selection of tack lengths, and they come in two grades, fine or improved, and you can see here I've got the improved, and this is actually all I've ever used because I tend to use staples as much as I can now because it's much kinder to the wood, but we'll go on to those a little later. So I'm just giving you a general guidance here, and you'll work it out for yourself as you go along what you want to use. You have to take the width, the size, the condition of the wood into consideration, and also the fabric that you're using and the wear that the chair is going to be used, how much you're going to sit on it, basically. So the 16s can be used for webbing, although I use the 13s. And then when you fold the piece of webbing over to neaten it, I put it in place with two of these little 10s. These I probably use more if I'm lashing springs to the frame of the chair. The 13s I use for hessian and the scrim, the sort of underlayers, to hold that in place. And then the 10s I use more for the calico or cambric if you're putting a lining under your top cover, if you need a fire retardant lining and your top cover isn't, and also for the top cover of the chair. Now you can get a 6mm, which is very, very fine if you're using delicate fabrics and you're not going to be using the chair too much. Now we look at the gimp pins. As you can see, these are much slender, smaller pins, and I've just put here the 3 gimp pins that I've got against the 16, 13 and 10 of the tacks, so you can see how much smaller they are, and these, as the name implies, gimp pins are generally used for putting gimp or braid in place. Now I tend to fix the gimp, so if it's upside down like this, and put a pin in here, and then I'd fold the gimp over, and that's anchored it in place, and then you fold it over, give it a tap on the outside of the gimp, and I would glue the rest of the gimp, but you can use these as they're much neater. For other situations you might need a neat finish on part of a top cover, or for example if you're gathering the calico or even the top cover, you might just want a tiny little pin to hold that in place. So then if you've got a leg of a chair and you're folding 2 pieces together to make your point, and you can put 2 little gimp pins in just to hold it in place really neatly, and then you can put your gimp braid over the top and you're not going to see them. Yeah, here I've laid them out. The black is a 16mm and the brown is a 13mm, and I've had these so long I can't remember, but I think that might be a 6mm, that little one there. They come in all different colors, which is fantastic because you can then match them to your fabric and they almost become invisible. We're now going to take a look at the decorative nails that you can use. These are the most common, shiny brass, and these are plated on steel, so they're pretty tough. When you use the nails, I'd always put a little wad of fabric over the top when I'm hitting it into the wood, just to protect that surface. But you can get them in an antique finish, different colours, different shapes. Some are decorated, some are plain, bright ones, or some with a more antique finish. You can also cheat and buy a strip. Okay, so these are the antique brass ones, and then you just would take one of these round-headed nails and along your piece hammer it in place. Okay. Finally, I'm going to have a quick talk about staple guns. Normally, I would use a compressor and an air gun because it's really efficient. But if you're only doing a little bit of upholstery, you're not going to have one of those. This is just a hand stapler, and they're really not very effective on upholstery. So I only really use this if I'm fixing Velcro to a board to fix a Roman blind or a pelmet valance. This one is an electric one, and you can see on here it tells you what length of staples you can use. So it's quite useful because you can use all different lengths for different projects. And this again uses these staples, which are quite, if you can see the edge of it, get it turn it around, they're quite heavy duty staples, these, but that's that would be my second choice. And these are the staples that I use for the electric gun. For the compressor air gun, I use these staples. Always check on your gun which staples you use. And these are the 10mm and these are 9.5, and I bought these in bulk because I obviously use more of them. So if we come in closer, you can see the different widths of these staples. And this one, even though it's wider, is narrower than a tack. And one shoot with the gun is much gentler to get a staple into a chair than a lot of hammering away with a tack, which is why I use it. And for antique chairs, yes, probably you should use the tacks because it's traditional if you want to do really a traditional upholstery. But if you're thinking about being kind to your chair, yeah, you have a choice. And these ones are the ones I usually use. They're much finer, but they work just fine. So that's it for today. If you found this video useful, please like, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when I make more videos. And please look at my other videos and you will see how we put all these materials into use. Thanks for watching and good luck with your projects.